Leslie and Allen Gene Hackman's daughter was seen for the first time following the tragic disclosures of his final days with dead wife Betsy Arakawa Leslie 58. The youngest of Hackman's 3 children was out solo running errands in Los Angeles on Sunday. On Friday, authorities confirmed that Hackman's wife Arakawa died from Hantavirus Pulmonary Syndrome, a rat-borne disease. On February 11. Hackman died approximately a week later, around February 18. Dr. Jarrell, chief medical investigator for the state, stated that because to his advanced Alzheimer's, the actor, who relied on his wife, was not taken care of at the time. The actor shared Leslie with his ex-wife Faye Maltese, and the two also had son Christopher 65 and daughter Elizabeth 63. Leslie had previously claimed that her reclusive father had been in fantastic health prior to his death, admitting that he liked to do Pilates and yoga, and he was continuing to do that several times a week. On Friday, authorities confirmed that Arakawa died of Hantavirus Pulmonary Syndrome, a rat-borne disease, on February 11, and Hackman died around a week later, around February 18. Dr. Jarrell, chief medical investigator for the state, stated that due of his advanced Alzheimer's, the actor, who relied on his wife, was not cared for during that time. The couple is shown in January 2003. She went on to claim that his death was not terribly shocking because he was 95. As she resides in California, she stated it's been a few months since she last saw or heard from her reclusive father, despite their tight relationship. "We were near. I hadn't talked to them for a couple of months, but everything was normal and fine," she revealed. Hackman was one of Hollywood's greats, earning 2 Oscars, counting Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman as close friends, and playing in countless historically significant roles. However, Gene Hackman's lonely end in the mudroom of his Santa Fe mansion a week after the death of his wife in the toilet from a rat-borne virus was as far away from the spotlight as possible. Police verified Friday that Hackman, 95, died from cardiovascular illness around February 18, days after Betsy Arakawa, 65, succumbed to Hantavirus Pulmonary Syndrome HPS in their bathroom about February 11. Officials claimed Hackman, whose struggle with advanced Alzheimer's was announced publicly on Friday, may not even have realized his wife died. HPS, which begins with flu-like symptoms, can quickly develop to respiratory issues, low blood pressure, and organ failure. Leslie, 58, the youngest of Hackman's 3 children, went out running errands alone on Sunday. The actor shared Leslie with his ex-wife Faye Maltese, and the two also had son Christopher, 65, and daughter Elizabeth, 63. On February 18, Hackman encountered a lonely person in the mudroom of his Santa Fe estate, a week after his wife Arakawa died in the toilet from a rat-borne infection. 1992. Hackman's life until 2004 was lived in the glare of Hollywood. He is photographed with Buddy and Unforgiven co-star Clint Eastwood at the 1993 Oscars. The image of mayhem in the restroom reveals a gloomy story of Arakawa's rapid collapse. She was found sleeping on the floor, her head near to a space heater, with thyroid prescription pills scattered around her. Unforgiven actor Hackman may have roamed about the huge 9,000-square-foot mansion, bewildered and confused, for 7 days without his companion of 3 decades at his side to feed and care for him, or look after their 3 prized pets. Left to care for himself and with his wife's body decomposing in their toilet, Hackman, who was already in very terrible condition, went without nourishment. An autopsy revealed that his stomach was empty at the time of his death. Hackman was discovered dead with his cane and sunglasses by his side in a room just off the kitchen following an apparent fall, implying he may have been on his way out of the residence before his weak heart gave in. His pacemaker's final recorded activity was on February 18, but help did not arrive until more than a week later. The reclusive couple's dogs, who were lovingly cared after by them, were also abandoned. He was discovered dead with his cane and sunglasses at his side in a room just off the kitchen after an apparent fall, implying he was on his way out until his weak heart gave in. Pictured 1991. Hackman, 95, died from heart illness a week after his wife Betsy Arakawa, 65, succumbed to Hantavirus Pulmonary Syndrome, and authorities suggested the Alzheimer-stricken celebrity may not have known she was gone. Left to care for himself and with his wife's body decomposing in their toilet, Hackman, who was already in very terrible condition, went without nourishment. Pictured 1992. Unforgiven star Hackman might have roamed throughout the enormous 9,000-square-foot property, pictured, for 7 days, bewildered and confused, with the couple's dogs running loose. Hackman and Arakawa are pictured with 2 unidentified canines. One of their pets, Zinna, also perished in their home. Arakawa picked up their pet Zinna from a veterinary hospital on February 9, 2 days before her death. She was discovered dead in a kennel in a bathroom closet, around 10 to 15 feet from Arakawa's partially mummified bones. Officials assumed the cat was crated due to the recent medical treatment it got. A German shepherd named Bear and a second dog named Nikita were discovered running about the 12-acre property, with a dog door enabling them access to food and water on February 26. 2 maintenance workers discovered the mummified bodies of Hackman and Arakawa, and the dogs were found unrestrained. Dr. Heather Jarrell, chief medical investigator for the state of New Mexico, said their deaths had both been ruled as natural, and no traces of internal or exterior trauma were discovered. This followed days of heated curiosity over the inexplicable deaths. A CDC source informed DailyMail.com that while the couple's main residence showed no signs of rodent activity, some of the property's outbuildings, including a garage and 2 casitas, had rat droppings and other indicators of rodent activity. Hantavirus is often reported in the spring and summer, frequently owing to exposures that occur when people are near mouse droppings in homes, sheds, or poorly ventilated locations. While hantavirus is present all over the world, the majority of cases in the United States have been discovered in western states. The virus can induce a serious, potentially fatal lung infection. Symptoms include coughing, shortness of breath, and chest discomfort. The death rate of the hantavirus strain in the southwest of the United States is between 38% to 50%, and it is not transmissible from person to person, Dr. Jarrell said. Jarrell stated there was no reliable means to get an exact time of death, but decided that Hackman most likely died around February 18. On February 11, they say she had an email communication with her massage therapist before later that afternoon traveling to a farmer's market. She was spotted on CVS surveillance tape immediately after the market, before heading to a local pet food store. At 5:15 p.m. on February 11, her automobile was seen entering the gated complex via surveillance. Officials stated that multiple emails remained unanswered on February 11, and that there was no additional communication from her account after that date. Detectives are still waiting to retrieve her full mobile phone records, but her last known activity was on February 11. Jarrell stated that Mr. Hackman demonstrated advanced Alzheimer's disease. Jarrell said, "He was in really poor health. He had serious heart issues, and I believe that is what finally caused his death." Officials also stated that there was no indication of carbon monoxide in the bodies of the couple. Hackman's daughter Elizabeth had previously floated a suggestion that the pair had died from carbon monoxide poisoning, which investigators officially dismissed last week. She told TMZ that the family assumed their deaths came from inhaling the harmful vapors. Hackman had 3 children with his first wife, Faye Maltese. He and Arakawa, a classical pianist, have been married for the last 3 decades. The gruff but beloved Hackman was among the finest actors of his period, appearing as villains, heroes, and anti-heroes in dozens of dramas, comedies, and action pictures from the 1960s to his retirement in the early 2000s. He was a 5-time Oscar nominee, having won for The French Connection in 1972 and Unforgiven 2 decades later. Hackman met Arakawa, a classically trained pianist from Hawaii, while working part-time at a California gym in the mid-1980s. They quickly moved in together and, by the end of the decade, had relocated to Santa Fe. Hackman, a naturally reserved man, was dubbed a recluse after spending years out of the public eye following his retirement from the film industry. He retired from performing in 2004. Friends periodically offered glimpses of his post-acting life, such as social media photos of fishing trips, while paying honor to his silver screen accomplishments. He would occasionally be seen cycling about Santa Fe on a bicycle. The couple's stucco, Pueblo Revival-style home is perched on a hill in a gated neighborhood near the southern tip of the Rocky Mountains. Santa Fe is regarded as a sanctuary for celebrities, artists, and writers. Hackman spent much of his retirement painting and writing novels, away from Hollywood's social circuit. He spent several years on the board of trustees at the George O'Keeffe Museum in Santa Fe, and he and his wife were investors in local enterprises. In an interview with Empire in 2020, he stated that he likes viewing DVDs that Arakawa rented. Hackman stated, "We like simple stories that some of the small low-budget films manage to produce. Friday nights are set aside for a Comedy Channel marathon, with special attention dedicated to Eddie Izzard. The speed of thought is incredible,